Hello, everyone, and welcome to Launchpad, the Jamf Admin meetup hosted by Rocketman. If it's your first time here, we're very excited to have you. Thank you for joining. If it's your 10th, 15th, 20th time here, thank you for coming back. So next we'll be going into the keynote presentation, which will be presented by Chris Shazi and I believe first-time presenter Patrick Blackmore, who's on our DevOps team. So very excited to have Patrick joining the presentation echelons. We're going to be getting into Rocketman Command Center. As you guys have questions, please feel free to throw those into the Q&A, which you can find under the More in your Zoom tool belt. And with that, Chris, I will kick it over to you to begin the presentation.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. This is the official Rocketman Command Center launch. And I will tell you, a year ago, I made the unfortunate decision to do a photo shoot with our photographer slash graphic designer slash marketing person. And she decided to put pictures of me throughout this presentation. So there's going to be weird, goofy pictures throughout that you'll see, which I have mixed feelings about, but I'll get into it.
You're welcome, everyone.
If you don't know me, I am the owner and lead engineer at Rocketman. And as Eric said, we have the first-time presenter, Patrick Blackmore. He's been working behind the scenes at Rocketman, building this development team that's created all the tools that we're about to show today. There we go, with another picture of me where I don't know what I'm doing. But I want to start off talking about this development team and why we built it. Our job as Jamf admins is a lot of stuff. And, a lot of us have dabbled in coding a bit, trying to build bash scripts and stuff like that. And as I've dealt with trying to deal with all of our different client stuff that we're dealing with, when you have to come in and troubleshoot a sed command that doesn't work in the newest operating system, it's not my favorite thing to do. So that's where we started to build out a team of real seasoned senior developers who can tackle some of these tasks and also build tools for this community. So we're building a lot of tools right now. We have several in production. We're going to show one of them today that solves a lot of issues that we've been dealing with. And we've seen other people dealing with as we do health checks and stuff like that. So as I mentioned, bash scripts are kind of, they're a very powerful thing, and then also in some ways the bane of our existence when things tend to break. And we do a lot of audits of people's servers, and this is the biggest thing that we see as recommendations just from a security standpoint and also a stability standpoint. All these bash scripts that haven't been updated properly and are doing things in a less than secure way. Some of the challenges that we have managing bash scripts is really bash is this language that's meant to do one lines of code for stuff. It's not meant to build these large applications with 10,000 lines of code. It's not modular. There's no libraries or anything like that. So, and then on top of that, just a lot of issues with updating scripts as well, because you have just a large block of code that you'll need to copy and paste stuff into. And if you made any changes to that, that can cause issues over time. So we wanted to create something that could really solve all these issues. Something that could really be a one-stop shop for Jamf admins. To address all these challenges, to be able to create one spot where we can update all of the tools, and then also be able to rapidly develop those updates for the community as Apple and Jamf throws us all kinds of curveballs and cool updates that we can incorporate into these tools. So what we've really built here is a framework with Rocketman Command Center that allows us to put our CLI application on every computer and then be able to control and configure that through Jamf Pro in a way that's easy and very highly configurable. And with this, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick to talk a bit more about how this tool works.
Sweet, yeah. Thanks, Chris. So to take away a little bit of the mystique, this is just a binary that sits on your client computers. Chris, go ahead and play this video so I can walk it through. So we're going to go ahead and execute the version here, which is going to show the Rocketman version, and the help menu, which you can see is just a standard binary. And over here, we're going to go ahead and execute one of the tools called list all FileVault enabled users. And we can see that we did it incorrectly. So we need to do the sudo bang bang here, and boom, there we go. And now we got all of our FileVault enabled users going. And now we've got the upload Jamf logs help menu. We've demonstrated this menu here as well for you. And so you can see here, it's just a standard binary that sits on your client computers. But here's the thing, we don't want to interface with this tool directly in the CLI. You want to set these up over on your Jamf server. So we're going to go ahead and walk you through what that usually looks like. This process here, first off, is that it's deployed through a package, then configured through a profile, and later executed through a policy. So let's go ahead and show you how to set up these base components. This is the wiki for RCC, which all of you will have access to shortly. You can click that first time setup button here in order to configure RCC over on Jamf Pro. We'll walk you through that in just a moment. Once that's done, we can then set up a tool and launch it through Jamf Pro and enjoy all of its benefits. So first thing we do is upload a package over there. We can download it from the GitHub, and then we deploy it to our Macs and upload a launch a tool script in order to use one of our tools, and of course, launch a tool later on. So we're going to go ahead and download that package over from our GitHub. Here we can see our change log of the latest changes. We're going to go ahead and download that guy. And we're going to take this and create a package upload over on our Jamf Pro server. So here we go. I've already done that for us. We've uploaded it, given it a quick, simple name, and added it to the category we wanted it in. But we're going to go ahead and leave info and notes a little bit meager for now, just for demonstration purposes. Let's go ahead and save that. And so we've uploaded the package. Next thing we want to do is deploy this over to our Macs. So let's go ahead and create a policy for this. Now we've got a package payload here, and later on a files and processes payload I'll get to in just a moment. But let's walk through what we've done here. Given it a name, of course, added it to our desired category, and we're going to use a custom trigger here to make it easy to install on our devices. So over on our packages payload, we've gone over and selected the RCC. When we click this little plus button, we can see all of our packages uploaded, and we set it to install on our devices. And a little helper piece is this files and processes area. What we've done is added a Rocketman-V just to show the version number of Rocketman. What this does is it allows you to unpack Rocketman for that very first execution. This is a one and done. It never needs to do it again, but it does take about 30 seconds. So having this occur when you deploy the package for the first time is crucial. There you go. So yeah, Rocketman-V, as my cursor here is doing. I guess I'll touch base a little bit more on the fact that it is packaged. Here we go. Thank you, Chris.
Along there.
Thank you, man. Cool. So we've gone ahead and deployed the package, and now what we got to do is grab the launch a tool script and put that over on our Jamf Pro server. Skipping ahead here a little bit, we've gone and set up the script section. Gave it a name, of course, and set it to the correct category. Now, going back over to the wiki, we're going to grab that link here, which is going to give us the pre-made script. Now, what this script does is enable us to clean up all the parameters passed into a Jamf Pro parameter. So, you know, the policy payload allows you to predefine parameters that'll get fed into this Rocketman binary. And at the end there, you can see once it's all cleaned up and done its magic, it'll feed that into the Rocketman binary. So we're going to go ahead and copy this and go into our script tab here. Oh, I guess I walk you through here once more. So there's your category. We're going to leave information and notes meager once again. No need to fill that out. And we'll paste that script right in here. And over in the options area, what we're able to do here is define what each parameter field should be. That way, when we go back in and we fill out each parameter field, we're not confused as to what goes where. So parameter 4, copy and paste that in. And for the remainder of the parameters, we can go ahead and copy the the other one there, but here I'm explaining that there are global options that go before the tool name is selected. And then these options will come after the tool name is selected in order to give specific tool instructions to customize your invocation of the tool itself. And then Chris, I think you can skip ahead a little bit on this one as well, please.
I told you you were being long-winded.
I'm so sorry, man. I was like, this is too fast, I think. I was wrong. Cool. So we've done the upload, we've done the deployment, and we've added that launch a tool script. This is what it looks like over on our server, and all that's left to do really is launch a tool.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick. So once you get all that set up, now you can utilize all the tools that we have. And we prepared 6 tools that we'd like to demo today. But in the spirit of collaboration, we want to set out a poll for you all to choose which tool that we should demo first. So I'm going to try to launch this poll. So go ahead and vote on which tool you'd like to see us demo. And I'll go through the tools quickly while people are voting. App Setup Helper will streamline enabling screen recording permissions for multiple macOS applications. Break Glass Admin is our lapse backdoor admin account. We've talked about that a few times. Rename Computer, programmatically renames the macOS computer based on a very customizable naming scheme. Secure Token Sharing Tool will allow you to grant secure tokens in various ways, including to your backdoor admin account. Temporary Admin grants users temporary admin rights, and Update User Info will identify the user on the computer and who it correlates to in your directory. We are at 82%, which I think is pretty good. So go ahead and close that poll, Caleb, and if you can let us know which tool was the highest voted.
Yeah, it looks like the app setup helper with 26% of the vote, and then temporary admin at 22% of the vote. Number 1 and number 2.
All right. Patrick, can you go ahead and share your screen and bring up App Setup Helper when you're ready?
First thing you're going to see here is the App Setup Helper wiki page. I'm not going to dive too far into this just yet. I want to show you what this looks like set up over on the server. So what this tool is going to allow us to do, though, is easily prompt an end user to enable screen recording permissions for a predefined list of applications, right? So we've created this configuration profile for App Setup Helper. And if we go into its plist here, we can see a couple of predefined options. I'm going to go ahead and make the screen bigger for everybody. So we can see under app names, we're going to set Zoom and Chrome as the 2 apps we want to demonstrate or to prompt the user. We went ahead and told the title to be Enable Screen Recording for Apps, and threw in a custom message here called Screen Sharing needs to be enabled for the following applications. And as a fallback, we put a 300-second timeout there. So continuing, we've got a policy to orchestrate this whole shebang here. We've set this as a recurring check-in, but just once per computer. And over in the script, which is that launch a tool script that we uploaded earlier, this payload, all it's going to do is accept a single parameter here, which invokes the actual tool that we'll be using, which is App Setup Helper. Moving on. Now, this is a video demonstrating it in action. The user will see a pop-up box showing the apps that you selected. Now, they're pending, waiting to see those permissions be updated. The user goes into settings, updates it, and you immediately see the result. Still waiting for Chrome, though, so we're going to go over there and do that for Chrome as well, and boom, we've got Chrome going. All the user needs to do is hit done, and voila. Now we've got the permissions set up for your defined list of apps. Let's go back over to the actual wiki itself and dive in a little bit to some of the more advanced options for App Setup Helper. We saw earlier that we're able to define the app names, and we chose Zoom and Chrome here as per the example. And you can customize your title and message, which we did earlier. Something we didn't do, though, is customize the icon, so you might want to throw your company logo in there. And you can also define a domain, which allows you to specify a different domain name for the managed plist we're using. And here's a couple more of customization options for the dialog box itself. And of course, that timeout and a little bit more information here and a caution message here as well for for proper usage of App Setup Helper. And there you go.
Yeah, I'll talk through that caution thing just because if you are testing this, it's very annoying. If you run sudo jamf policy through terminal and terminal does not have full disk access, it will not work. So that's how we normally test things. So if you're running into that, you just need to give terminal full disk access and then you'll be golden.
That might be important. Good idea.
So we still have some extra time. Can we get a quick raise of hands if anyone wants to demo another tool? All right. Well, we got enough hand raises for me to say, let's go ahead. And I think temporary admin was the next one, Patrick. So maybe we can go through that tool.
Sweet. I do love this one because it's easy to implement, but it's actually pretty tricky over in the back end, as in what we had to do to make the magic work. So over on the temp admin wiki, as the name explains, it does grant the currently logged in user temporary admin privileges. It is designed to work with the self-service policies so the user can trigger that on their own. So let's go ahead and dive into the moving parts on the Jamf server. So we've got our configuration. In the configuration, we've defined these key parameters. For the sake of brevity, we're going to give their admin privileges period just a minute. We're going to set the ask reason to please state your reason for needing admin rights. We're also putting them in a static group. That device will be in the temporary admin static group so that once that period is over, they're removed from that group and they no longer have that option to give themselves admin privileges once again. And a couple of additional options. What's the action we're doing? We are promoting the user, of course, and we're going to upload that log. So over here, in order to remove the device from the static group, we do need an API role and an API client. Here we've given a role, update static computer groups, read static computer groups, and create computers privileges. And we've thrown this client in there into that role. Now, over in the static group, we've gone ahead and assigned this computer. And in the policy here, we've added this script payload. Well, actually, first off, of course, we've configured it for self-service here and set it as an ongoing option. And in the script payload, we've called temporary admin. And notice here, we're putting in these sensitive credentials in the actual Jamf script parameter fields, as opposed to over in the configuration profile. This is really important. I want to make sure it's really clear. I'm sure a lot of you know this, but we don't want these over in the configuration profile because that ends up sitting in plain text on the client device. No bueno. So this is ideally put into the these fields here. So with all that set up, we can go and demonstrate it live. So user pulled up terminal. They're going to go ahead and execute temporary admin through the self-service policy. Now this is me doing it, so I just want to show how neat this is. Go ahead and hit OK. Oh, look, terminal disappeared, and that's because we don't want users sneakily using terminal before executing this. But we can see here that the user is now an admin. Closing that out, we notice that it is that count. Oh, actually, it disappeared here over in the self-service area because we removed the user from the static group. Do some magic here to speed this up. I'm going to go ahead and open users one more time to see that they are now demoted back to standard after that 1 minute period elapsed. And that's it. They're back on their merry way. So this is temporary admin in action. Let's dive back over in the wiki itself for the tool. Now, there's not a whole lot more to go over because what we did there is maximizing the use of temporary admin through that temporary admin static group. Here, as you can see, we defined the time min. We did 1 minute in that case. Forced the user to ask a reason. That was the pop-up dialog box. Define the action to promote. Now, what happens is it actually creates a launch daemon that calls temporary admin once again and sets that action to demote after the defined period elapses. Here you define the group that you'll be removing the device from, and you can choose whether or not to upload a log. Of course, if you're going to do any of those things, you do need these credentials here. Here you can define your domain, and that's going to be for the managed plist, your logo to customize, and a little bit more of a customization option here for your dialog box itself. And that's the bulk of this. There's temporary admin in a nutshell.
Cool. Thanks, Patrick. A couple other things with that too, and I've been seeing this a little bit in the chat. A lot of people, when they give someone temporary admin rights, they want to kind of restrict what they can do. And one of the first ways we're trying to tackle this is their ability to make another admin user, because that's probably the most egregious thing you could do. Um, and there's ways we can do that through Jamf Pro and then also utilizing the tool itself. So one of them is simply setting up a configuration profile to restrict certain parts of system preferences they don't want users to access while they have this type of access to temporary admin. And then we can also set up a restricted software policy specifically for terminal, and that's where we get it to close terminal. Is that correct, Patrick, or did we actually do a kill all command for a terminal?
It is a kill-all, basically.
Okay, so we're doing the kill all, but you can also set that up so if they try to relaunch terminal, it'll just close it right away.
I wish I demoed that. Correct. It logs them out immediately. So the window will stay, but you can't do anything. It's neutered.
Yeah. So this is definitely a tool we've been kind of working with the community to figure out like what types of things you want to do. Now, the thing we can't do or we haven't found a way to do is to restrict what people can do when they have admin rights, right? What we can do is restrict how they access things we don't want them to access, like parts of system preferences or terminal. If they can't access terminal, it's unless you're, a high level coder, you're probably not going to figure out another way to like get around being able to do those types of commands. So if we restrict certain applications from running in certain parts of system preferences, that will do the job for 95% of users. We do have a little bit more time. What do you guys think? Should we go through a third tool?
Yes.
People want that. All right, we're gonna do one more tool. Caleb, what was the next one on the list?
Secure token sharing at 19%.
Okay. Let's do the secure token sharing one. This is one I'm pretty happy with.
All righty. Yeah. So secure token sharing is pretty neat. What this is mostly focused on is easily giving users FileVault enablement. Now, in order to do that, what this requires is that you have a user with a secure token and one that doesn't, and then it's basically going to grant that secondary user the secure token. Now, what's cool is there might be scenarios where you're not sure who has a secure token or not, so you can define a bunch of users. Maybe one of them has it. It'll test each one of those out, find the correct one that has a secure token, use that to grant the one who doesn't the secure token. So let's go ahead and dive into its configuration profile. Here, we've defined, now we're going to prompt the user. Now what this will do, we're assuming in the secure token holder list that the currently logged in user has a secure token, which is also a neat little trick here. So what it'll do is it'll grab that user, it'll throw a dialog box up on the screen there and ask for the password, right? And we want to grant a secure token to the Lapse account. We've passed in that Lapse account information, customize the dialog title with secure token grant, and the dialog text with please enter your password to grant a secure token, and of course our logo to customize the whole thing. Moving on, we've got our extension attribute. Now this is going to be handy here in order to see the updated list of who has FileVault enablement. Right now, what this script will do is it'll actually invoke Rocketman binary on the end client device's computer, and run list all FileVault enabled users. It'll scrape the result, echo it out, and then boom, you get a nice neat result of all the users on your Jamf server. This policy here is going to tie it all together. So we've got our script payload here. We're going to go ahead and summon the secure token sharing tool. No need for any sensitive information. So that's all we're doing here. And over in the maintenance area, we're just going to run update inventory. So let's go ahead and see this thing in action. So we can see here, we've only got Shasta as a FileVault enabled user. And go ahead over in terminal and run our handy dandy sudo Jamf policy, which I'm sure none of us is familiar with. There you go. So I just got prompted to enter my password. And it's going to go ahead and do that secure token transfer magic in the backend. Now, once that's done, we can go ahead and refresh this page. I'm going to go back over to extension attributes and boom, that list just got updated because the RCC test break glass user was given the secure token. So going back over to the wiki for this tool, of course, we went over here on the example setup, but there are a couple more options I want to go over on how to define the list of users that might have a secure token or that you'd like to grant tokens to. So you can use a lapse account, base64, which is any other user in the account, or you can prompt the currently logged in user, which is my personal favorite because there's a lot of fancy magic that happens there in the back end. And of course, same deal here for the user who will be granting the secure token to. So in this example here, we're doing the lapse and we're feeding in that base64 encoded. Go ahead and try to decode this little Easter egg. And down here is the information for our lapse account, since we've defined it up here in that example. So you feed all that information in there. And of course, a couple more of the customization options we have for the pop-up box and the typical domain flag you guys are familiar with now in order to define the a different domain for a managed configuration. And that is the bulk of secure token sharing tool.
Cool. One thing I want to say about this, so we've encountered this on people's servers where they have a bunch of admin accounts and they're like, we don't know who has the secure token, and we're trying to maybe grant it to multiple people, right? So what I really like about this tool is it really allows flexibility for like, I don't know if the user on the computer has the secure token or if it's a lapse account that we have stored in our server, or if it's like one of these 10 different admin accounts with different usernames and password combinations. And if that's the case, that's fine because we can define all of them. And what it will do is it will go through them one by one, checking to see if it got a secure token from one of them. And if it does, then it moves on to granting the secure tokens. And then you can grant it to multiple users as well. So it's a very flexible tool if you're running into that problem in a legacy server where the computers may not have been set up the most proper way. It's also really nice if you need to grant a secure token to like a backdoor admin account or something like that, because it does have this feature where it works with a lapse account, as we showed in the example.
If I can jump in for 1 second to clarify something that's coming up in the chat, we should probably make the description between, are we talking about a Jamf lapse or are we talking about the break glass admin, the Rocketman Command Center lapse? Because as has been pointed out in the chat, you don't want to necessarily mess around with the Jamf lapse accounts in this regard. So it is because we're throwing around the term lapse. I just thought that was worth a point of clarification.
Yes, we are just talking about like a break glass lapse account, like the type of lapse account we do. And it can also work with other types of lapse. It doesn't need to be specifically the one we did. If you have another lapse account where it's stored, the password stored in an extension attribute within Jamf Pro, this will work with that. But it's not going to work with Jamf's lapse account because that's all a whole special thing. And we've tried thinking through ways of making that a FileVault enabled user, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
because they randomly changed the password.
I was going to say I've got some input on that. I apologize for interrupting you. I was in the middle of just doing some general research, trying to understand everything about lapse that I could get, because beyond Jamf's documentation, and I had a call with someone. I think it's now about a week and a half ago at Jamf. Someone who's kind of higher level that was more of an expert in this area. And he was telling me that you definitely want to avoid logging in to the Mac using the login screen as one of these lapse accounts, because it will authorize it for FileVault, and it could actually cause.
That was a hot mic, Howie.
No, that's right. Yeah. I thought someone was listening to what I was saying and interrupting. Was like, no, whatever. But anyway, I was told that allowing having a lapse account actually get set up is a FileVault enabled would actually cause problems with password rotations. And that made a lot of sense to me because up until about maybe 4 years ago, I was unaware that a FileVault enabled account, you couldn't just use a policy, for instance, to change its password. And when I noticed a whole bunch of my password changes failing, I was like, why the heck is this happening? It's the same freaking accounts, and I've already got the password to it. And then I realized, oh, it's FileVault enabled. That's why I couldn't change it on those Macs, is because FileVault was enabled for them. So
Yeah, and that's part of the reason we built these tools, because we've taken all that into account if you need to
yeah.
cycle that password or anything like that.
Well, the feedback I gave that Jeff person, I'm trying to remember who it was because I've actually talked to him before. I think I've talked to a lot of guys there over the years, but was that why the heck don't you people include this in your documentation? Because that would be a really good warning to give us. Because I've now instructed all my support people that are going to go into Jamf Pro and actually access a Labs account. Don't log in with this account at the login screen. Don't need to anyway, because you've got the password. You can use terminal to issue commands if you need to, or if you've got a software install username password prompt, you can just build that in and put that in there too. So you don't actually have to log in to do this stuff. So I'm trying to break a lot of bad habits right now.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a good segue into this next point and what we've seen with this very active chat and Q&A that I'm trying to keep up with. And that's what's missing from here. So we built a lot of tools. We demoed some of them. There was a lot of them we didn't have a chance to demo. But this is something we really want to build with the community. We've really created a team that can rapidly develop this type of stuff. So we're going to pull up another poll and just ask, like, what's missing? What's missing either from one of these tools, or what's a tool that you would like to see that isn't on this list? What's something you're trying to do in Jamf Pro that you're just like, I've tried scripting it, it doesn't work, or I don't have the time to script it the way I want to. I'd really like this problem solved, and it's not solved anywhere within the community that I can currently see. So we're just going to leave this poll up for a little bit for all of you to answer that question.
So there's a substantial difference from this list as to what was on the beta group. Can you go into some detail for some of the new ones, please?
Which are the new ones? So I know edit user profile, I think just had a different name, but that updates the building and department info. That one we're probably going to be doing some drastic updates to soon, because that really is what I want to be able to update. Any info that we can update in Jamf Pro for a computer record, based on user input. But right now it just does building and department.
Is the
Rapid
Jamf-
risk. What?
I'm sorry.
Oh, and then rapid response is a newer tool we've developed, and that allows you to deploy policies within seconds. And essentially, we do it by deploying a configuration profile that will kick off a Jamf policy. So we can deploy it quicker than like the 5-10 minute check-in, if you need something deployed rapidly for security reasons. Trying to think what other ones are new. I think self-service email is a little bit newer. That allows you to create pre-filled emails through typically a self-service button if you just want to launch like a complex mail to command to open up an email. That might, develop into more of a like online form that someone could fill out too. Kind of interested to see what people need in that regard. Update user info will update the username in Jamf Pro based on their directory listing. Upload Jamf logs will upload logs to a specified location. When we originally developed this tool, we uploaded it to Jamf Pro to the computer's inventory record, and Jamf told me, please don't do that. So we reluctantly took that away, and instead we're uploading it to AWS or Google or anywhere else where there's file sharing. So we're not putting it inside of the Jamf Pro server, because those log files can get pretty big and that can cause problems.
Is that customizable, or is it all Jamf logs?
You can customize which logs go up there. So you can set like a specific location for a specific log. And then you can also, if you wanted to, do like a folder or something. But you can
I guess I
specify
meant,
like multiple files.
is it just like, but I mean, can I choose like Jamf Connect logs, Jamf Trust
Yeah.
logs, Jamf? Okay, cool.
I mean, right now we don't have like those baked in variables, which we could easily do, but it's essentially just saying any file on the computer that you want to upload. It could be an image, right? It doesn't need to be logs. But if you want to just upload, the whole hard drive over to some place, you could do that as well, but I wouldn't recommend that. It'd zip up everything. It would probably break. I don't think that would work. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this poll because we have one more thing we want to talk about. And that's, what if I want assistance and support? And we go back to a picture of me. And that's where we've created the Rocketman Command Center Pro. So this is a version of Rocketman Command Center. It's really a utility on top of it that's going to make things easier to configure and comes with a whole support package we'll get into. But let me demo what this looks like. So this is an application you launch on your computer. You fill in the server URL and then also the username and the password for that server. It's going to connect to that server, and once it connects, it's going to check to see if there's a package in place. And if a package is not in place yet, then it's going to go ahead and upload that package. And then it will also upload the launch a tool script that Patrick did before. So that whole part at the beginning gets done automatically when you first launch this. Now, if you want to set up something like temporary admin, you can go here and click set it up for me. And it's going to set up all the things Patrick did in that example, including creating that configuration profile, API roles and clients, creating the static group, creating a Jamf policy, and then also something you haven't seen yet, which is adding that JSON schema. And once you do that, it will give you a link to all these components because obviously there's going to be some extra configuration that you'll need to do on each of these individual things. So if we launch that configuration profile, it has a nice looking JSON schema here that you can go ahead and edit and, change the time, the reason, remove from a group. It automatically puts that remove group in there as well. So you don't need to worry about fat fingering that. It creates the API role with the right permissions. So you don't need to fool around with getting the wrong permissions. I will create that static group. It's also going to create the policy with the client ID and client secret that you need in order to deploy this tool. So it makes deployment of RCC a lot easier if you're looking to do something like that. So that's Rocketman Command Center Pro. I'm going to turn it over to Eric to talk more about what is included in the Rocketman Command Center Pro package.
Sweet. Thank you, Chris. So we spent 85% of this time going through Rocketman Command Center. Rocketman Command Center is fully featured. And if you want to do any of the things that we just talked about on this, you can do all of that with Rocketman Command Center. We wanted to release a paid version that brings a little bit more to the table. Maybe you don't have time to do these things. Maybe you're managing 17 other things at your job and you just want to do these things as efficient as possible. We're releasing Rocketman Command Center Pro. So Rocketman Command Center Pro brings it to the next level by offering an RCC orientation with a Jamf expert, which is our team here, the Pro application with the GUI that we just went through, priority support, development tokens if you want us to customize and develop a feature for you, a couple hours of Jamf support, discounted Jamf Pro health check, as well as for any of our customers that they currently get a discount on our Rocketman services. We do a lot more at Rocketman than just host this meetup. And we wanted to come up with something that's at a price point that a lot more organizations can stomach. We know budgets are tight for everyone, but if you want to get involved with the Rocketman team and be able to support what we're doing here and then also get support with your server, this might be a good package for you. All of the features that are within Command Center Pro, you can do those things with Rocketman Command Center Pro, just takes it to the next level. Our pricing, again, we want to keep this to something palatable, and we've been trying to come up with a per device pricing model. We also have EDU pricing because we know this pricing model doesn't necessarily work for everyone, but something that's more palatable than getting a full-on managed service with Rocketman. If you guys are interested in this, please reach out to us. We would love to discuss how this can be implemented into your environment. But yeah, the idea here is we just want to make sure that we have a package that works for everyone. If you're moving and shaking as a Jamf admin and all of this seemed pretty straightforward, like you can do it, by all means, we've got a product for you. And if you're like, that looks great, but I could use some support, I could use some hand holding along the way, and then I also want to be able to reach out and talk with somebody about how to utilize this tool the most, Rocketman Command Center Pro might be the best tool for you. I think this is the first time we've ever pitched an actual product on this meetup, so I do appreciate everyone's patience while we do that. I know, that can kind of be a turnoff for some people, so that's why we very much have a free version. In the pro version, more check marks is more better, right? I forgot who said that. But we have a little bit more info on what else you get with RCC Pro. So yeah, if you're curious about that, please reach out to us. We would love to discuss what that looks like in your organization. Did I hit all the points that you'd like me to hit, Chris?
Yeah, that was great, Eric. I think at this point, so RCC is available for free, like we said. Can someone drop a link? Because I always lose my cursor when I'm sharing. Can someone drop a link to the page that breaks down both of these and then also has a link to the GitHub?
It looks like Patrick shared a link to the GitHub, and then Lisa. I really wish I could pin posts. Lisa's sharing the link to our website that has more information on everything that we just went through here today. And as always, this presentation is recorded, so if you want to revisit it, let's say you're going with RCC and you want to implement that and just go through how to implement it, that will be available on our YouTube channel, which you can navigate to through our website. Lots of ways to follow up on this. So again, thank you for joining this month's presentation. We will get information and invites out to next month's presentation here shortly. Both of these tools, both RCC and RCC Pro, are things that, this is the infant stages. We're extremely proud of what we've built. We've done a lot of really cool things with RCC to already make it an impactful tool, but this is just the beginning. This is something that we intend to manage, upgrade, and improve, as long as we can. So always looking for insight from the team, getting all sorts of warm fuzzies from the nice things people are saying in the chat. That's why we do this. Also, because we do keep this casual, I just hope that for the first time in Rocketman or Launchpad meetup history, we've unveiled a paid service. I hope we've handled that with aplomb. We really want to focus on what's free and to the community. But if you have feedback, we are always open to hear that.
Hey, I just want to say when I first started coming to these meetings, I've been to several now, I kept waiting for you guys. I kept waiting for the pitch. Like, okay, they're going to eventually, they're just trying to lure us in. They're going to eventually try to sell us on something. You guys have been great. I mean, these meetings are so helpful to me. And even this pitch now, softest pitch ever, most gentlest pitch ever. Like, look, you can do it all for free. Just if you want some help, then there's this. I really appreciate the approach, guys.
Thank you. Not only do we appreciate hearing that, but we appreciate hearing it in that buttery voice of yours. Thank you.
Been a few meetups since we've gotten Joseph's radio voice. It's great to hear. All right, everyone. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining. We will see you all next month or maybe even sooner. But I think that that wraps up our meetup this week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for joining us today. We have new episodes on the first Friday of every month. If you'd like to join our session live, visit the link in the description to get on our mailing list. And if you're looking to get the most out of your Jamf server, visit rocketman.tech to set up a meeting with one of our Jamf experts. That's rocketman.tech.